Meeting is now streaming live on custom streaming service. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 10 and Wednesdays with Ra. Today, we're going to briefly discuss revealing unseen attachments and calling back your power. Now, this is something that Maggie and I are constantly learning, and you may realize how this all sort of connects into everything we've been talking about, but it is equally as important. And just when we think that we have gotten to a point, there's always more. So today we are going to just go over this stuff very briefly, and then we're going to give you guys an activation to start working on this. We're going to cut this one very short because Maggie and I have some other things we have to get done today. And then next week we will come back and we will discuss this more in depth. So if you do have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. And if we don't get to them today, we will get to them next week. So, hi, everyone. Do you want to say hi, Maggie?
Hi, everyone.
All right. So these are some things that we've been talking about recently. As you probably have already guessed, it all kind of falls in. But today we're going to just briefly mention some of the things we don't even really think about that are most likely attached to many of us, including Maggie and myself. And we just want to list a few of them so you guys can start thinking about it, because what happens is the way us humans on this planet are structured to live and to think, it almost becomes nonchalant or it becomes invisible, these attachments. And while being invisible is one thing, we don't really realize what effects that has on our body, on our energy, and all of the things in between. So did you want to say anything before we talk about the list?
No, I think we should just get into it because
okay.
It makes more sense once we say all the things.
Okay. So one of the first ones that we want to briefly mention is living life out in the open and not secret. And I think this is really important because our society pushes this to you, where if you don't fit in, you have to be ashamed of being yourself out in the open. And so what we have to say to that is that it's okay to be you. It's okay to be you in the public, and you will always find other yous, other like minds, like thought processes in the public once you get out there. And while we know that's hard to do, it will pay off. And this is one way that we can all move everybody forward as well. When people see, oh, there's other people out there with different thought processes, and they're not ashamed or they're not hiding, and they're being in the moment and being themselves. The next one is what we call blind enthusiasm. And this is the idea of when you implement an idea or a thought process without really thinking it through. So we've talked about this a little bit, but this is another attachment that is constantly thrown at you, where most of our society just wants you to blindly accept and to just go along without thinking about it. So we want to challenge you guys to, instead of just blindly accepting, to really support yourself and your whole and actually think about things. And it's okay if you don't jump on stuff right away. It's okay if you need a few moments to think things through, a few days to think things through, a few months to think things through. There is no timeline. So contrary to what our society wants you guys to do and to think and to be, these are the direct opposites of things that will help you with some of these attachments that are on you that you don't really think of. The next one is to not deny the shadows. And this is something we're all working on. And this is where we just feel that our society today wants you to not speak about things that are of interest to you, not speak about your thought processes because they don't mesh with the common thought process. So all of these things, even within family, like when you can't really talk about yourself and who you really feel you are inside, all of these things get pushed down. The more they get pushed down, the more they can fester in many ways, whether that's disease or making you feel tired. But if you don't ignore these things, you can work on the emotional balance of them, and you can take away some of those attachments that they're purposely putting there for you. And then one of the last ones that we had, and there's many more, these were just the few that we came up with today because today is going to be a shortened version, is just listening to your body and not the outside world. So you can kind of see the theme through all of this. The main theme that goes through this is the idea of surrender. So for next time, ask yourself, how do you surrender? Like, what do you give away of yourself that you don't realize you're giving away? And Maggie and I can give some examples next time we do this, but this is going to be good food for thought. So these attachments of feeling that you must push and keep up with the rat race. And while sometimes pushing is good because it leads you to that next aha moment, it leads you into that next, that portion of your life, you have to realize when it doesn't need to be what the rat race that society wants you to be. Push for something that you want, and then remember that it's okay to take breaks as well. So these are just a few of the attachments that are available on you guys, and it's all based on the idea of surrender. We don't realize as a collective or even as individuals how easy we surrender to everybody else. We surrender to thought processes. We surrender to society. We surrender to not being in charge of ourselves. We completely end up surrendering us, and then what's left after we surrender. And so all these attachments, do you want to talk about attachments and like the cords and stuff a little bit, and then we'll do the activation?
Well, attachments, as far as there's a million different kind of attachments, as I'm sure that you all know, but the attachments that we're talking about today are sort of the places where we give other people, other situations, other energies, other beings permission to dictate how we direct our own energy. We give, spiritual authorities permission to tell us what to think. We give our families permission to tell us what to believe about ourselves. We give our school systems the permission to tell us, the things that we learn, the things that we accept as true. And all of these things are cords and attachments that are literally attached to these institutions, these people, these situations that in reality drain your energy. Because in reality, your life force energy, the God presence within you, knows you better than everyone else, knows the truth as it is for you, for your life. So every time that you give permission to another authority to tell you who you are or tell you what to think, those are cords that are draining your energy and draining your life force away, because truly that should be coming from within. We shouldn't, as humans, have to look to an outside authority. That's how it was supposed to be. Obviously, we all do at one point or another, but it's important to recognize these places where we give our sovereignty away, where we're letting people direct where our energy goes. Because if you follow the trails through a lot of those energies, it's not good what you find at the end of the tunnel. And a lot of the times it's places that are literally siphoning your energy to use for other purposes. And the more of these that you can recognize, the more places where you can call back your energy to you, because it belongs to you. It doesn't belong to those authorities.
Right. But the way the free will system works here is that without you recognizing that, you're willingly giving it away because you're not recognizing what's all attached and what's all draining. And so it's about being, again, sovereignty. And so I think that was really well said, Maggie. Okay, I feel like I'm like going a mile a minute, but Maggie and I are on a really tight schedule today. So I apologize. I promise next time we will have plenty of time to discuss these things. But I hope that this gets you guys thinking so we can have a lively discussion in the chat. Ra has already said he would be willing to talk about this at some point, and so it just didn't happen today. But we do want to leave you guys with an activation for severing attachments, at least starting to get the process started. So let's do that right now, and then we will bid you guys farewell. But I promise we will be back. It's okay.
Yeah, sorry that we have to go a bit short today. It's actually my sister's birthday this afternoon, so that I just remembered about the other day. So we would have planned this better and we would have told you guys all ahead of time. So we're sorry if you expected something longer. It's really my human brain's fault for not being able to organize my 3D life. But I hope that this activation is good for you guys. Ra wants to add that as well as energy for severing connections to places where you might not want your energy going. It is also energy for recalling that energy that is yours back to you, so you can kind of combine it with the collective energy of your own vital force energy. So hopefully it should give you a bit more back. You should feel a bit more energized. You should feel a bit more in power of your own self after you receive these.
Right. So to join in, it's always best, again, feet flat on the floor. Join in with us to put your hands up and okay. Who's going to go first?
I feel like you should go first.
You want me to go first? Okay. Mm-hmm. Let me just get Ra in. Hang on 1 second. Wataku untuko ushk at iskuamatu puluko tawayasat. Iopo ojoko no mojok iat ianala ata. Kukototia polania te askata leata kumoto, kolotia shakataria la teataka, kuata tasikanatia pata, kuata naskatia pata, kulupoto no shakato ka at it ut it kuto aniat at ushkat. Putkniat leat atak yet utkoskat ubluk at sknat diekli in ut apasknat upaskatatot. We'll have to explain what the coughing is in one of the upcoming things. Kutupuniaskatala atia kupushakatana askati aputut ut iniat at ut. Muskataleata tutupuk anat ask. Uputu oshkana atiala ut. Masta alahana. Kuku ushat kobo wahata yasatapu. Kulona atiaskutula apanono uto buskutiala ata. Kuskuta ala tiat kuskuna atiat uluto tiat to pakatena tiaskata ala poto kuskuta niata la aska wote poto to pushkatiata ala nanayata poto skuta. Nostotoshotiata la aska, boto no lodo tiata kanata uska de bushkatani ala kutu tiata skadala atata komatiata yala patuko, kelly anatiata kuskatiala anta, kutu tiakala askata, tutubaniata skatiala utikono, kuto uskadaria potukono skatapo it at ut tiata kala ata, nuskadiala omotiata ala, putu tiala skadala askano, tupatiata skanata, watapu ushaka. Naskatu poshakatati ala hanas kushoto poto no sotolo hoshono poasatata shakata. Nala ata naskatiasha namaste.
Dandi aya sato no kisaya. Din hota ita. Mosati le asatu hunso to pistaya sate le ekasa. Noro asatiti ono sakasa. Dunsaya satine asata. Moro asata. Sundu hiya asata. Taya asatino osokasati. Haya satu usaya saki. Anaya masa. Sini iki hoto maasaki. Lea satunu isaya sontoku sanaya. Sono isto oso kisa asatile asata. Duno ekasati easa. Hala asa tu usiki. Hin asa tu usika. Dile asa tomea na satati ite asata. Boro asati hihayata. Honsaya sihita. Hita mosoki anasati. Hando usiki. Dono masatati endata. Dunso isata sono ikata sati e asati neasa hasate anasa kuusika tu uno me anasi ita tuhoya hata. Namaste.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. And we hope you have a wonderful week, a lovely